to be discussing why everybody hates Maria. And a little bit of a nerdy rant on West Side Story. This is another installment in my In Defense of Ingenue series where I seek out to redeem some of my personal favorite characters that most people tend to be super annoyed by. We've covered Christine from Phantom of the Opera, Joanna from Sweeney Todd, Cosette from
Les Miserables.
So of course it only felt natural to bring this series back so we could discuss and defend my girl, Maria from West Side Story. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi! My name is Kat and I really like musicals. If you really like musicals, hit subscribe to join the musical theater internet cult. We're gonna take over Broadway, buddy boy. It's our turf. Thanks to Sundance Now for sponsoring today's video. Question of the day, are you Team Maria? Do you like her or do you find her kind of blah? Let me know in the comments down below. West Side Story is of course based on the 1957 Broadway musical of the same name. The 1961 film of West Side Story also has a prominent place in the zeitgeist because it was nominated for 11 Academy Awards and won 10 of them, including Best Picture. Steven Spielberg's remake hit theaters this past holiday season and is now a heavy contender for awards season. We'll come back to that thought later because I also wanted to say spoiler alert. Even though this isn't a new musical, it may be new to someone watching. I try my best to not purposefully spoil anything, but because we're analyzing and discussing the work, it just kind of happens in the process. So if you want to be totally surprised, mute the video whenever the screen turns black and white. Real quick, let's take a moment to thank today's sponsor. Hi! Thanks to Sundance Now for sponsoring today's video. Sundance Now is an ad-free streaming service created by AMC Networks for people who love riveting storytelling and fresh perspectives. And they've got everything. We're talking prestige dramas, international thrillers, bone-chilling true crime shows, you name it. Plus, they've got weekly releases and tons of exclusive titles from all around the world, so there's always something new and fresh to binge watch. There's this show, A Discovery of Witches. It's a British period drama romance, but also so exciting and thrilling. Matthew Good from Downton Abbey and The Crown is on it. He's phenomenal. Seasons 1 and 2 are streaming now, and season 3, the final season, is streaming January 8th. You can stream Sundance Now across all your favorite devices for as low as $4.99 a month. Just download the app or watch online. Start streaming your next obsession. Try Sundance Now free for 30 days by going to sundancenow.com and use promo code CATSTEEL. Thanks to Sundance Now for sponsoring this segment. And now, back to the video. So let's take a moment to discuss my history with West Side Story and Maria. I actually don't have much of one. If you're new to my channel or if you didn't know, I'm Latina, first generation kid. I've auditioned for West Side a bunch of times, been in final callbacks for Maria, and I have never booked. I did kind of a concert thing a while back, but never a full production of it. I also have white Latina privilege. You know, I don't look like what the media has decided Latina looks like. And because of that, a lot of people and casting directors especially have thought that it's okay to talk about my culture or my identity in very tactless ways, especially when it's surrounding West Side Story. So to some degree, I feel a little weird and extra protective of Maria. It's something I've stayed away from discussing on the internet for obvious reasons, but that's absolutely part of it for me. I'd be curious to hear if you've experienced something like that. Not necessarily for West Sider like mine, but I'd be curious to hear if anyone feels similarly. Anyway, let's cover some of the most frequent complaints I hear against Maria. She's pretty and nice and that's it. One of my biggest gripes with ingenues is that they are written so surface level. Their characters in general are rarely built out past pretty and nice, and that's definitely the case here. In fact, the only moment we get alone with Maria, her solo song, where we get to see depth and development, all she tells the audience is, I feel pretty. Maria doesn't really do anything to help. She's kind of a bystander in the story. She asks people to do things on her behalf, but she doesn't really do anything to help the situation. Maria is impetuous to a deadly degree. Maria is just like the poster child for, but daddy, I love him. Much like Romeo and Juliet, you can make a case for these characters being young and dumb. They're not in love, they're in lust. And their teenage hormones cause death. Another complaint I hear? Maria just sounds annoying. And admittedly, I get it. Like a lot of sopranos, she has a lot of very high, very loud singing. And I think a lot of performers tend to choose vocal quality over storytelling, which personally I think you just can't afford to do, especially when it comes to ingenues or any other character that doesn't get a ton of development. You gotta sing and tell the story. Maria and Tony lack logic. Also, like Romeo and Juliet, not great problem solvers. Watching young people make poor decisions is like watching a train wreck. Not only is it horrifying and sad, it's upsetting because it was completely preventable. None of the kids in West Side Story had to die. It's just sad. And of course, the number one reason people bring up when it comes to Maria kind of being the worst, she sleeps with Tony right after he kills her brother. Like, immediately after. Like, his blood is on his clothes that are now on the floor. That's pretty yikes. So now that we've established all of that, let's talk about why I love Maria. Of course, real quick, let's get my bias out of the way. I want to play her. Will I ever get to play her? Who knows? But as a Latina soprano, she will always hold a special place in my heart. But I think so much of why I like Maria is directly correlated to Steven Spielberg's remake. And specifically, I think you've got two people who knew exactly what to do with Maria, how to update her, and how to build her out into the woman she could be. And for that, I think we gotta thank Tony Kushner's screenplay and Rachel Zegler's performance. Rachel brought layers to Maria. She sounded gorgeous and prioritized the storytelling. It's the first time I felt the excitement and sincerity of First Love. Maria felt like a real teenager. She was someone you wanted to root for. And Tony Kushner's adaptation gave her eons more material to work with. They fully fleshed her out and turned her into a real heroine. I did a whole video breaking down and reviewing the new West Side Story, so if you haven't seen that and you want to, I'll link it down below. But the Spielberg version added so much context to the story, and I feel like society has almost updated the film separate from the filmmaker because of our current societal conversation. For instance, in the remake, there is a much heavier and more explicit focus on gentrification, xenophobia, colorism. The gravity of the situation is absolutely present from the get-go. So Maria choosing a different path for trying to find happiness against all odds, it's not frivolous. It's incredibly brave. So let's touch on some of those other common grievances that people tend to have with Maria. For instance, Maria being pretty and nice. This is the first time I've ever really loved the song I Feel Pretty, because I feel like they really reframed it and expanded upon the original idea, because it's not just I feel pretty, it's I feel worthy, I feel seen, I feel hopeful. And in this version, Maria is certainly not nice, and I mean that as a compliment. Nice is often synonymous with pushover, especially when it comes to the feminine ideals of the 1950s. And in the 2020 film, one of the very first things we learn about Maria is that Bernardo calls her bossy. Maria isn't a kid, she's an adult with an equal seat at the table. She's been a family caretaker since age 6, she's got a job, she's the same age as Bernardo, but that's something really interesting that I didn't even catch or clock until I read the screenplay. The ages of the characters in the new film are quite interesting, and I think definitely explain Maria's confidence and autonomy. In the 2020 film, Maria and Bernardo are both 18, Anita is 21, Riff, Tony, and Graziella are all 18, a couple of the other sharks are like 16, 17, and interestingly, the eldest of the kids is potentially Chino, because he's just listed as early 20s. I think that's fascinating because his act of violence is the most premeditated, and he's the one most enamored with the idea of joining a gang, even though he should know better. In that very first scene in the apartment, it's established that Maria wants the opposite of Bernardo. So when she meets Tony, who also wants a better and safer life, she's attracted to that. Tony doesn't romanticize the violence the way that Bernardo or even Chino does. In fact, he's horrified by it. Tony and Maria have similar values. There's something beyond the teenage hormones. Speaking of which, let's talk about that big strike against Maria. Tony, you didn't stop the fight. In fact, you joined in and stabbed my brother? Get in my pants! Of course, Tony didn't mean it, but that still doesn't make it okay. What I will say is, though, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, you know that it's really complicated. Wanting to feel close to that person to reaffirm that connection would seem very natural. People are dying. She just lost her brother. Her world is crumbling around her. The only thing she has left is Tony's love, so of course that's where she would turn for comfort. I don't co-sign on Maria's decision, but I don't think it's a black and white situation. And I think that's why I Have a Love, A Boy Like That is one of the best numbers in the show. And Rachel and Ariana's performance is worth watching the movie for. Like, seriously, that number is spectacular. But those are just some of my thoughts. I want to hear from you. What do you think about Maria? Lover, hater, somewhere in between? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're new here, hit subscribe, join the musical theater internet cult. Thanks again to Sundance Now for sponsoring today's video. You can get 30 days free at sundancenow.com when you use code CATSTEAL. I hope you're having a great day. I love you so much. Break a leg, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.